With extreme guilt and shame, the last two survivors reluctantly cooked and ate the hideous meat. Afterwards, they fell into a much-needed deep sleep, and the following day found them feeling much better with their renewed strength. Both were able to easily swim across the river. They brought them with them what was left of the cooked flesh, as it would be needed to sustain them along the way. Once on the other side, and after a good rest, they continued their journey, and swarms of mosquitoes attacked the two as they struggled through wet, mucky swamps with thick vegetation. Giant welts had now formed all over their bodies, and they tried in vain to keep the insects at bay. And as dusk approached, Monsieur Viau began to prepare a fire. But to his horror, the flint was nowhere to be found. He suddenly remembered that he had left the precious pebble on the ground where they had come out of the river. He had no choice now but to return to that spot and retrieve it. And with the sun sinking into the horizon, there was no time to waste. He asked Madame Le Couture to stay behind and wait for his return. But with the fear of being left alone in the dark, she pleaded with him not to go. But he explained to her that better time would be made if he went by himself, and that he would be back just as soon as possible. And with those final words, before she could even respond, he was gone.
He should have been back by now. What if he never returns? I cannot be left alone in this wretched place. Whatever wretched beasts are out there, leave me alone. Please. Leave me alone. Please. Oh, dear God. This is too much.
Mother. Wake up, Mother.
Louis? Louis?
You are stronger than your fears, Mother.
Louis? Where are you?
You must remember, you are stronger than your fears.
Come and get me death! I have no more fear of you. I've used it all up. All that remains now is rage. First, you took my husband, and then you took my son. And because of them, I will fight you to the end. Oh!
It is me, madame. You will be safe now. I have found the flint.
Madame Le Couture had reached deep down inside herself and found that hidden strength, a primal instinct that lies buried deep within us all, only to be let out into direst of circumstances, and with that will to survive also came a renewed sense of hope as both survivors carried on. And later in the day, as they made their way around the mucky terrain, they spotted an alligator lying on a dry embankment. And without hesitation, both quietly crept up on the sleeping reptile. Handing Madame Le Couture his knife, Monsieur Viau leapt onto its back and both hands held the gator's mouth shut while rolling the 4-foot animal on its back. And Madame Le Couture attacked the ferocious beast. Using the knife, she viciously tore into its thick hide, killing the reptile. And now, for the first time in many weeks, they finally had a substantial amount of food, much needed food, enough so that they could finally rid themselves of the awful dried flesh that they had been carrying. The two also used the hide from the alligator to cover their skin from the relentless insects that had been so badly tormenting them. But with an intense feeling of victory, both slept well that night, and early the next morning, they continued their trek towards St. Mark's.
We must stop. I can't go any. I can't go any further.
There is plenty of dry kindling here. We should be able to make a fire. For weeks I have watched you try to start a fire with the flint, and tonight I would believe I would like to see if I am capable. This shall do fine. And tonight, if any wild beast approaches, we shall kill it and cook it for our morning meal. What have I become? All those tales of monsters that roam this land, that is what we have become. This place has truly changed us. We are the monsters in those tales of horror.
Why am I so weak? Madame, I feel very ill.
The following day, both continued their hike east toward St. Mark's. They were unable to get very far as Monsieur Viau was now feeling gravely ill. Madame Le Couture tried to reassure him that their journey would soon be over. And with her constant encouragement, he forced himself to keep moving. Eventually, the landscape changed from wet, swampy marshlands to a more dry, sandy coastline. White, sandy beaches were now stretched before them, giving a much better view of what lay ahead. Madame Le Couture had also noticed that wild turkey had been abundant in this new area. She studied their movement while contemplating a way to capture one of the birds, as it would silence them well. She also knew that Monsieur Viau was very ill and would need a more substantial meal if they were going to make it any further. This time, death was not going to win. It was a turkey that they needed, and it was a turkey they were going to get.
I cannot go any further. You must leave me here.
You can rest here. The cool water will help heal you. The water looks so serene today. What a view.
Madame, there is something you must understand. This place has not turned you into some unruly beast. Instead, what you have become is quite the opposite. I do not believe that God nor mankind will judge you in the choices you were forced to make. But instead, they will applaud you in the strength it took for you to make those decisions. No, Madame La Couture, you are no monster. Instead, you are quite the hero.
Thank you. Your words will heal my soul.
I only hope that your reward will be great for all that you've been through.
I have seen some birds along the shore. I shall capture them. I will be back soon.
A boat! A boat! Over here! Over here! Please! look over here. Here. Over here! Please! Look this way! Over here! Over here! They see me! They see me! Over here!
I found the nest! Look! Two fresh eggs!
Look! It's a boat!
Oh,
We're safe!